The House has resumed, members. The House is considering the third reading of the Appropriation 2012-13 Estimates Bill and the second reading of the Imprest Supply second for 2012-13 Bill. When the House rose for the dinner adjournment, Phil Twyford had the call. He has about 5 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I was so rudely interrupted by the dinner break, I was explaining to the House that extensive research has revealed, sir, that this national government's transport policy has in fact been inspired by the Greek economic model. Greece are the gold medal motorway builders of Europe, sir. They've blown billions and billions, tens of billions of euros, much of it borrowed, on a massive motorway building binge in the decade leading up to their financial meltdown. And their policy bears an uncanny resemblance to the roads of national significance policy. I think they do. The Greeks do employ Crosby Textor as their contract propagandists. So, what is it? What are the distinguishing features of this government's transport policy? Well, undoubtedly the roads of national significance is the defining feature of this government's policy, and by the time this government leaves office at the end of 2014, it will leave our country a legacy of a number of giant concrete white elephant projects, sir, that are of very low economic value by the government's own figures. Some of these projects, these 7 roads of national significance, were even given the green light by the then Transport Minister Stephen Joyce before the most rudimentary economic assessment had been done of their worth as major infrastructure projects. So the roads of national significance, they have become a synonym for wasteful spending and out of control, unaccountable transport spending, sir. And last week it was revealed by Radio New Zealand that this government has spent in the last couple of years $8 million on public relations consultants. $8 million to try and sell the roads of national significance to an increasingly sceptical public, sir. And on top of that, it was also recently revealed that $216 million was spent on an investigation and design for 5 of the 7 motorway projects. Some of these projects won't be built for years, for decades probably. That's right, they're closing down parts of the railway network. They are cutting spending on new public transport projects. They are flatlining the spending on the maintenance of local roads, sir, that every member in this House, particularly the member for Invercargill, will know, sir, that the neglect of local roads is a major issue that has made provincial New Zealand very angry and very resentful about this government's policy, sir. So the roads of national significance, if it wasn't bad enough that they are simply in many cases a waste of money, these projects do not stack up, they have also had the effect of squeezing out most other categories of transport spending, sir. And as I said, local roads, and it was NZTA, sir, said last week, they are facing a $160 million shortfall for the maintenance of state highways. That's new information that's just come to light. A $160 million shortfall for looking after, maintaining and renewing our state highways. That is another consequence of this government's policy of putting all of the transport eggs into the basket of the roads of national significance. At the same time, sir, we're seeing Kiwi Rail being set up to fail, an unrealistic Kiwi Rail turnaround plan that bizarrely requires Kiwi Rail to find $3.8 billion from its own balance sheet to invest in capital expenditure. And that, sir, is totally unrealistic, and that is what is driving a series of almost inexplicable decisions by Kiwi Rail, the most recent of which is laying off 181 track workers. These are the very people who are needed to improve the state of KiwiRail's network so that KiwiRail can compete with long-haul trucking. The worse the state the tracks are in, the slower the trains go, the less KiwiRail can compete. What's this government doing? It's forcing KiwiRail to lay off 181 workers who maintain the track. It's ridiculous. We recently found out KiwiRail purchased 7,000 Peruvian rail sleepers that are rotting on the tracks. That's an example of poor El Cheapo procurement policies. Again, we lay that, sir, at the door of this government's unrealistic turnaround plan. Following the Greek model has not served this government's transport policy well at all. It's unbalanced, it's all about roads, and it's time for a change.
Mr. Speaker.
Maggie Barry.
Thank you, Mr.